So while we're waiting, I'm definitely feeling quite a strong urge to do a few stretches. So if anybody else feels the urge to move your body before we settle, then please do so. I'm just going to do some stretches. Oh, been at my computer today after 2 weeks off, and I'm reminded of what a bizarre activity it is to sit in front of a screen for hours on end. It's a funny old world, isn't it? Bit of jiggling, shaking. The jiggling and the shaking's really, really good. Whatever state you're in, because if you're feeling a bit wired, it discharges some of the stress. And if you're feeling a bit low energy, it will wake you up. So it's a win-win. Ah, good. That's better. Feel a bit more ready now to settle in with you all. We got John Fletcher from New Zealand, I think. Wow, I haven't seen you for years. So John's did our teacher training years and years ago. Fantastic. Michael's saying I'm jiggling, but my cat thinks I'm mad. That's good. Maybe we are mad from a cat's point of view. So 1 minute past the hour. Just wait maybe another minute and then we'll begin. Okay, so I think we'll begin now. So I was thinking about what to do this evening, and I think we'll do a practice where we'll settle and arrive into our experience, and then we'll practice really receiving experience fully and letting it flow out fully. So we'll be resting in a more fluid sense of ourselves, which is more accurate in terms of how things truly are. We often experience life in very kind of staccato, um, you know, one rigid experience after another rigid experience, and often this experience, often the sense that things are kind of crashing into each other in our lives. But what we can do is drop into a sense where the way we are is more like a river. So we've got experience pouring in every moment through the senses. And then normally we sort of go to war with that. We grab hold of the things we like, we push away the things we don't like. But what we can do is receive fully and then let go, receive, let go, receive, let go. And quite often we do talk about letting go. That's the sort of language we often use in the mindfulness field. But I think it's very interesting to also focus on receiving fully. So we receive experience fully and then we let it go. And every moment is fresh. And there'll be a whole range of things coming in every moment, some of them pleasant, some of them unpleasant, some of them boring. But we really let it in. So we have this sense of vivid presence, vividly alive. And we also have this sense of letting go. So flowing in, flowing out. That's what we'll practice today. And of course, it's flowing in and out of awareness. So we have this kind of field of awareness that's receiving experience and letting go of experience. So I'll lead us into that. We'll do work through the body and then we'll drop into this more fluid sense of our thoughts, our emotions, and our physical sensations. So to begin with, we choose our position. Um, and yeah, just at this point, actually, just to say a very, very warm welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. You're very, very welcome. And to say you don't need to really remember anything that I'm saying because I'll guide the practice and you can just follow along as best you can. And of course, for those of you who have been here before, very, very warm welcome back. Yeah, so the first thing to do is to choose our position, and you can do the practice sitting, you can do it lying down, you can do it standing. The main thing is to look for a position of the body where you'll be as relaxed, as comfortable, and yet alert. Not going to sleep, ideally. And if you do go to sleep, that's fine. Maybe you just need to have a nap. So don't fight that. And very often when we don't fight going to sleep, we actually stay awake. It's quite interesting. But if we start fighting going to sleep, then we will probably definitely go to sleep. So beginning to settle into the position that we've chosen, and you can close your eyes if you'd like to, or you could lower your gaze, that's up to you. And coming into stillness. And allowing the weight of the body to drop down into gravity. And this can be our first inkling of something a little bit more fluid. Very often, if we're gripped and tight, we're kind of resisting gravity. But if we yield and let go, release our weight down to the chair or the bed or the floor, then we're already softening these habits of gripping and tensing around experience. It's a very beautiful word, yield, which means to soften, but with a quality of alertness and aliveness. So let's tune into the sensations where the body connects with the surface that it's resting upon. If we're sitting, this will be the buttocks, the back of the thighs and the feet. If we're lying down, it'll be the back of the body, the back of the head. If we're standing, it'll be the soles of the feet. And to help this sense of arrival, if you find it useful, you could take a few deeper in-breaths, and with each out-breath, just releasing a little bit more, letting go a little bit more of gripping. Letting go of what we've just been doing, letting go of anticipating what's coming next, and arriving in the moment a little bit more with each out-breath. And then when we're ready, we can allow our breathing to find its own natural rhythm. And to help us arrive a little bit more, settle a little bit more, just do a body scan where we allow our awareness to rest in different parts of the body. When I name the different parts, if we can see if we can allow our awareness to rest right inside. So we're not looking at it from the outside or thinking about it as an idea, but we're feeling the arising and passing of sensations in that area. And of course, for some of us, we might have health conditions where we notice an absence of sensations. That's fine. We can be aware of that. So let's allow awareness to pour out of the head, down through the body, down through the legs, and to rest right inside the feet. Maybe there's a sense of temperature, coolness or warmth, contact with our socks perhaps, buzzing, tingling, whatever it is. Feeling to its fluid and changing nature, so it flows into the moment, into awareness, flows out again like a river. Allowing our awareness now to pour up inside the legs. Lower legs, knees, upper legs. full of awareness. And again, receiving the sensations and letting them flow out of the moment again. Some may be unpleasant, some may be pleasant, some may be dull. Might be temperature, tingling, buzzing, stabbing, soothing, whatever it is. Particularly with unpleasant sensations, very often we sort of try to inhibit the arising of the sensation, and that, of course, creates tension and resistance. If we can let it flow in and out and in and out, sometimes that can ease the discomfort associated with these sensations. You've got pleasant sensations, enjoying them and let them go, enjoy them and let them go. So what we're doing is making sure our bandwidth of experience is alive and vital, present. And coming up to the buttocks now and the hips. Just checking in that the buttocks are soft, that we're still resting into the chair or the bed. We're lying or sitting. Maybe there are sensations of pressure where we rest into the chair or the bed. Just getting curious about these, receiving them and let them go in their fullness. Now let's allow awareness to come inside the belly, the abdomen, the soft front of the body between the pelvis at the bottom, base of the ribs at the top. And seeing if breath is showing up in the belly. Maybe there's a very subtle broadening and opening on the in-breath, subsiding on the out-breath, letting this be effortless. Resting inside the movements and sensations of breathing in the belly, just as they are. And the chest. The lungs, the ribs, breasts, breastbone. Being breathed, resting right inside the movements and sensations of breathing. And if at any point it becomes disturbing, of course, we can shift our awareness into the hands or the feet or the buttocks, something stabilizing. Coming back inside the breathing, if or when you feel ready. Now coming back down to the buttocks at the bottom of the back of the body. Very often people notice, or we might notice, there's some gripping arising. And if we notice that, then in the noticing, seeing if we can let the buttocks rest back down into the chair or the bed we're lying or sitting. Coming inside the lower back. Length and breadth of the lower back. And again, being curious, is breathing showing up on the lower back at all? Maybe there's a broadening on the in-breath a little bit, subsiding on the out-breath. Maybe the shape is changing a little bit on the in-breath and the out-breath. The middle back and the upper back, the length and the breadth, the back of the ribs, back of the lungs, shoulder blades, all being breathed. And the whole back of the body, the whole length, the whole breadth. Receiving all the different sensations. Some might be unpleasant, painful, some pleasant, some dull. Just seeing if we can allow it all to flow into the moment, flow out of the moment. So we're not inhibiting and we're not holding on. Vividly alive. Coming to the shoulders now on either side of the torso. At this point, we could just check that the hands are supported somehow or other on the legs and the lap or at the sides of the body if we're lying down perhaps. The hands are supported, then we don't need to hold on to the arms with effort. And coming back to the shoulders, seeing if we can allow the shoulders to fall away from the midline of the body into gravity, and then the arms to fall out of the shoulders into gravity. Letting awareness fill the arms, shoulders, hands, fingers, thumbs. Awareness of temperature, contact with the surface the hands are resting upon, buzzing, tingling, unpleasant, pleasant sensations, receiving it all and letting go of it all moment by moment. And then the fingers be lightly curled in their natural position. So we're not reaching for the future or gripping onto the past. Now let's allow our awareness to flow back up through the arms and the shoulders into the neck and the head. Letting the head be poised on the top of the spine if we're upright. The chin tucked in just a tiny bit. There's release through the base of the skull and yet openness in the throat. We're lying down, letting the head be fully supported by the pillow or the cushion. Letting the jaw, lips, tongue be soft, the eyes soft, cheeks soft, forehead soft. And again, receiving all the different sensations in the head. So we're experiencing the head as a limb of the body rather than somehow separate from the body. There are many, many sensations in the head. Temperature, contact between the eyelids, if the eyes are closed, contact between the lips, the tongue and the mouth, maybe the air against the cheeks. And broadening to be aware of the whole body all together, the limbs and the torso, with an integrated sense of the whole body in this great cloud of sensations arising in the whole body. Flowing into awareness, flowing out of awareness, moment by moment. Letting go of automatic inhibition and letting go of automatic clinging. Resting in this great river of sensations in the whole body. And what about our emotions? What are we feeling emotionally right now? Maybe something's vividly present. Maybe you feel dull, confused. You don't know what you're feeling. That's also awareness. So maybe coming to the heart center in the body. We can imagine it's vast like the ocean. And again, receiving our emotions and then letting them go without getting so tangled up in them. Vivid sense of presence, vivid sense of flow. If we've got difficult emotions, seeing if we can bring a kindly and caring attitude, the way we would naturally respond to a loved one having this experience. And our thoughts, what thoughts are flowing through the mind. Seeing if we can let them be like clouds passing across the blue sky of awareness. They come in, they flow out, they come in, they flow out. Now we'll move into an silent few moments where we can rest right inside this whole experience of sensations, emotions, thoughts, and the whole body, heart, mind. Letting everything flow in and everything flow out. And you'll probably find you get swept away from time to time in the noticing, Just grounding back in the body, grounding back in the present. Or you might notice you get trapped and inhibiting your experience. And then noticing, we can just soften around that and open up a little bit more. A few silent moments now just to rest inside this practice. What's happening now? You've wandered far away, then in the noticing, we're succeeding in our mindfulness practice because we know what's happened. Coming back inside the body and beginning to draw the practice to a close. We can intentionally bring a bit of movement into the body, maybe the fingers, maybe the toes. Just beginning maybe to sway a little bit. If you're lying down, being very careful how you move so you don't strain the neck. we're sitting, coming into movements however we want to, and in the eyes, if we've had them closed. Let me go back to gallery view so I can see you all. Fantastic. So thank you all so much, everybody, for joining us. And for those of you who are new, I always stay on for a little bit at the end. And people share what they noticed in the practice in the chat box, and I read things out because we sometimes have people here for whom reading the chat box is difficult. I want them to feel included. And Mark, while we're doing this, could you find the link for the Miranda event? And then I can just say something about that as well. Thank you. So yeah, anything you noticed in the practice, like what was the effect of receiving and letting go in that kind of way? If you just put any responses in the chat box, that'd be really good. So various thank yous. And then Joanne's saying very refreshing. Thank you, very grateful. So that's interesting, isn't it? Just letting go of some of our automatic habits of inhibition and grabbing hold of things can be refreshing. Interesting. Angela, very calming. Penny, immediate relaxation. Thank you. That's interesting because I guess it is like the opposite of relaxed is where we're clenching around experience. So this thing of softening and releasing is perhaps the definition of relaxation in a way. And Mo, I was floating. It's nice. And Michael, it was lovely to be inside my body instead of looking from the outside in. Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? Because I think for many of us, we habitually were floating outside somewhere, kind of looking in on ourselves, which is slightly alienating. And this training to come inside and to be literally at home in ourselves, I think is a really wonderful training. And Ezzy, thank you so much. Really needed that after a hospital visit today has wiped me out. So I'm sorry to hear about your hospital visit, but so wonderful that you came. You know, you gave yourself this after your day. And Valerie, thank you so much. Loads of thoughts, and it required a lot of effort for coming back to the breath. Yeah, so that's bringing in the training aspect, Valerie. You know, what we're engaging in here, it can seem like we're doing nothing, but we are actually training our minds to be less discursive, less distracted, less sort of tangled up. And that can require some effort to keep on bringing it back to the breath. But ideally, it's a particular quality of effort that's not really willed. It's intentional, and yet it's not strained. So that's interesting. And LM, relaxing and love the softening. And Sandra, I'm feeling very relaxed now. Thank you. And Fran, love this. Receiving and letting go felt very in tune with the breath in and out. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I should have made that connection myself a bit more explicit because that's exactly what we're doing with each breath cycle. We're receiving the new breath and we're letting go of the old breath. And life is absolutely full of these rhythms of receiving and letting go. The cells do it. You know, the cells receive nutrients and let go of waste products. We've got tides coming in and out. We've got cycles of the moon. It's everywhere, this coming in and flowing out motion. And Claire, thank you. I found that to be a really peaceful practice. And Salma, I would agree with the term floating. And Bridget, thank you. Tricky day, so needed that space. I find body scan dropping in at the start helped. Yeah, I think it's always so helpful to really come inside the body at the beginning of a meditation practice. And Dermot, thank you. I found it amazing what I noticed in my physical sensations and wandering mind. Amazing where it ran off to, and emotions mostly calm. That's fantastic. So you've done this kind of inventory of your sensations, your mind, and your emotions. Fantastic. And wonderful that you were amazed where your mind ran off to, but it sounds like without getting into harsh judgments. Yeah, rather than thinking it shouldn't be doing this. Well, it is doing this, and just be curious and interested. Good. So now there's a link here in the chat box that Mark's very kindly put in. So in a couple of weeks, I'm doing a 2 hour fundraising session with Miranda Hart. So for those of you in the UK, you probably have heard of her. She's a really fantastic comedian and actress. There was a sitcom some years ago called Miranda, and she had some role in Call the Midwife, which I'm afraid I've never really watched, but I think people that did watch them Call the Midwife, she was quite a significant character. She's very, very, very funny, and she's lived with chronic health problems. She's got Lyme disease and chronic fatigue. So we're going to be doing this conversation together, just talking about our experiences of living with ill health and pain. And she's written a book where she goes into what she's learned and what's been helpful for her. So I'm really excited about that, really looking forward to it. Share that link far and wide. Anybody you think might be interested to come to that conversation, then please do share it. And yeah, so she's very, very kindly donating her time, and there's ticket prices for that event as fundraising for Breathworks. So moving on, Eileen, softening really helped to relax. Yeah, and Joan said it was blissful. Rebecca, I felt an inner stillness. Thank you. It helped me so much today. Okay, so Fiona said going through change, which brought up feelings of loss during the meditation. Yes, that can happen, of course. That, when we bring awareness to what's there, there's all kinds of things that are going to be there. Um, Maybe feelings of loss, grief, and so on. I've had a little bit of a challenging day myself, and I noticed there was a sort of discomfort in my heart area. And I just was kind of tender with it and stayed with it. And that actually felt a lot better than inhibiting it and pushing against it. So, yeah, thank you for saying that, Fiona, and sharing that with us. Hannah, this was my first session since completing the Mindfulness for Stress course in August. Glad I joined today. So, really big welcome, Hannah. Yeah, hope you'll come again. And Helen, really lovely. Thanks for the reminder of taking in and letting go, which is so helpful in daily life. Very relaxing. It can be like overwhelm, then release. That's interesting. Because I think sometimes when we inhibit experience, it's because we're frightened of overwhelm, but then we're just in this kind of pressure situation again. But if we let it in, even if it is a bit overwhelming, because we're also letting it flow out, we don't get stuck in the overwhelm. So that's a lovely comment as well. Yeah. And Lizzie, thank you. I needed to relax and come into my body. And Meg, thank you. I was quite tense at the beginning, but could feel my body relax and my mind calming. And again, thank you, Meg. That's always so good to remind ourselves, just doing half an hour of intentional nothingness, it can bring about change in this kind of way. It's not like we've gone to the gym or run around the block or something. We've just sat still and watched our minds and our hearts. And it can lead to relaxation and calm. And Jackie, thank you. The session was wonderful. I've been feeling quite low emotionally recently, but I look forward to the practice every Tuesday evening. So thanks for coming, Jackie. And Hazel, thank you. I really needed that after having a bad day of horrid symptoms. So it was nice to relax and lie on the bed and just let go. Good. Really fantastic that you came and gave yourself that, Hazel. And many other comments. I'll just skip through because I know many of us need to go. Yes, so Irina, lovely imagery, river like a flow of sensation, ocean waves, a transient emotion, passing clouds of thoughts. Very helpful in letting in and letting go. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't quite intended that, but you're right. The sensations like a river, emotions like the ocean, and the passing of the clouds of thoughts. Yeah. I think imagery can be super helpful because it takes us away from concepts. Um, And Karen saying, I normally don't join if I'm running late. However, it was equally lovely joining the energy and the essence of the practice as the awareness started going down to the feet and working its way back up, flowing from body part to body part. Yeah, fantastic. So I think maybe I'm going to leave it there. There are a few more comments, but I need to go. Don't know about anybody else. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your comments. And I'm sorry for those people who have not got time to read them all out. Oh, look, here we are. Mark saying this is very important that Miranda played the character of Chummy in the BBC drama Call the Midwife. So that's very good to have that cultural reference about Miranda. Chummy. It's a good character, isn't it? So I hope to see lots of you there. And thank you all so much for coming. Have a good week. And Space to Breathe will be here next week. In fact, I won't be doing it again next week, but then I'll be back after that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Bye.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks very
Bye.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you so
Bye.
much.
Vidyamala.
Bye. See you all soon.
Bye.
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 Thanks again. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.